Good afternoon, everybody. My name is DeVensa Alan Leland McFarland. It is exactly 12 noon on March 19th, 2026. 2026. I can't believe it. We're in 2026 now. And so I just got back from the 35th District Court in Plymouth. Um, I had what probably will be my last in front of Judge Plakas. So Judge Plakas granted a discovery and preservation order today, right? Discovery, preservation, anti-spoilage order, preservation order with the city of Wayne, right? So they must preserve all evidence, requested evidence from May 9th to February, I think it's 11th, I think, of this year. So from May 9th, 2025 to February of 2026, the judge has ordered that evidence be preserved. So he acknowledged that we're filing litigation, and there's anticipated litigation. Although we do have, I think it's 2 or 3 years for statute of limitations to file that. But we're going to file it soon. The major, the lawsuit that we've all been waiting for, I guess. But we have a couple more lawsuits we have to file before we get to that portion. And the bulletin board, right? The city of Wayne. Well, I guess we could probably add that to the sign lawsuit, because that is, kind of like I said, more, it's similar pattern, right? Retaliation, First Amendment, protected speech, all that, yada yada. So we may try to amend our sign lawsuit if we're allowed to again. If we're allowed to add that to our complaint, we certainly would. It would save us $400. But another thing is the judge had ordered the so we're kind of we're doing this by piecemeal here, right? So really because because the prosecution has not handed over 24th, the discovery was drafted. The motion to compel discovery was drafted by me, and it was signed and it was submitted to the court, and the court ruled on it and granted the motion in early September. So the fact that we have on the record that the city of Wayne is not complying with that demand, right, with those demands, and then instead, later accepting pleas, right, soliciting plea deals. I mean, it's very telling, right? I mean, it's very telling, and I wish he would have vacated the sentence and, basically concluded that we need to have a bench trial, right? Bench trial, trier of facts, whatever. Um, because if you're not giving out discovery, how can you defend yourself, and how can that be a legitimate plea? I mean, there's so many ways to attack that, right? Not quoting the McDonald's CEO, right? The big arch disaster, but I don't, there's so many different ways to attack it, and the judge removed the financial obligations. So basically, the judge granted the motion to preserve discovery, which these facts will be tried, likely at the federal district court. He preserved it for a year, so that's on the record. That was good. He threw me that, so I appreciate that. And he got rid of the court or the fines and costs, right? So the city of Wayne wants to close that file out so desperately, and try to sweep it under the rug and wipe their hands free of it, that they've waived the money. So now I don't owe them $1,200. The city says I don't owe them nothing, and they're waiving that so they can close the case out. Because basically what the judge says was that, well, because he still owes money, the case is still technically ongoing, so I have to grant this motion. And, if you want to close the case out, you have to get rid of the financial obligation, which they've So nicely done so, right? So nicely done so I guess, I mean, I'm very happy. I mean, as far as like that goes, right? It was probably the best day I've had. I woke up late, didn't even shower, didn't even brush my teeth, just walked in there and kicked ass. So um again, I just don't understand, if you don't have discovery, how can you try a case, right? So how can you defend yourself, right? I mean, you're kind of forced to take a plea at that point, right? I mean, if you're not allowed to defend yourself because you're not allowed to have the information you've requested and the judge has granted, I don't understand how that's a valid plea to begin with. And I don't think it is. I don't really think it is a valid plea. And I think the courts, the circuit court, the appellate courts, the federal district court, I think they're all going to see that, right? That, well, damn. I mean, not only did probable cause not even be possible on May 9th, but you also have withheld all this discovery, right? So how is he supposed to defend himself, right? If I don't have access to the call logs and the dispatch and all that, CAD reports, and I mean ordinance history, right? I requested all these different things, and got FOIAs going on at the circuit court to try to remedy this, and still ongoing, still numerous ongoing battles and litigation, and it is tiresome, but it is necessary, right? And I'm getting to the point to where, I mean, this shit doesn't faze me, right? Sitting in jail doesn't faze me. Defending myself in court doesn't faze me at this point. But that's not a good thing. That's not because I'm just some, tough guy and I'm not going through shit. It's because I've been forced to. I've been, backed into a corner. I've literally had to fight for my life. If I would have not represented myself and proceeded pro se, I would never have gotten that discovery order. I would never get any discovery, and I would, been just out. So I got smart. I said, well, why am I gonna pay the courts, who are just, officers of the courts who are just trying to fuck me over? Why should I pay them when I can be saving my money or using my money to file, federal lawsuits, right? So instead of giving Jermaine Warwick, $5,000 or $10,000 to go into court and argue that I'm following an ordinance that doesn't even exist, right? Instead of doing that, I decided to just represent myself, and kind of forced to become my own lawyer, so to speak, and it's worked out a hell of a lot better. I've gotten a lot better results being pro se, and I've gotten a lot more respect too, right? Because when you go up into court and you show that you're not scared of these people or their system or intimidated, well, it helps, versus if you just have a lawyer sitting there, not really doing shit for you. Let's just be honest with you, just kind of there to get paid and drag it out. Couldn't care less about the outcome. Couldn't give a fuck less because he's getting paid either way, right? Well, it's a little bit different when you're doing it yourself, and they have to treat you differently, and they got to treat you better, right? That's what a lot of people don't understand, is when you're pro se, they actually have to treat you better, and they can't be so discriminatory against you. So, whereas if you have a lawyer and he fucks up, they'll just say, well, your lawyer fucked up, take it up with them, case closed. Well, if you don't have a lawyer and you are the lawyer, well, then they have to notify you of your fuck up. They got to give you time to correct it. So it's a bit of a different ball game, and I've gotten accustomed to this. Like, I don't go into court nervous anymore. I don't go into court, well, obviously I'm not fighting for my life really right now, right? I mean, I am. I'm fighting for my name. I'm fighting for my family's name, for my property rights, for the people of my community, right? Do the people of my community have a right to have a bonfire? Do they have a right to exist in their backyard peacefully, have a bonfire? Or does the government have ultimate authority and power and unfettered discretion to walk onto your property to enforce laws that exist or don't exist? Does it really matter? If you're still violating the Fourth Amendment, you're still violating the Fourth Amendment, right? So Fourth Amendment's the supreme law of the land, according to the Supremacy Clause, and so it really doesn't matter if they have an ordinance or not. But in my case, it just, helps to re-highlight the fact, right? It's like extra zing on it, right? Well, there's not even a codified ordinance in my case, so it's extra spicy. But Violating the Fourth Amendment is a violation of the Fourth Amendment and is very serious, right? In my opinion, it is our most sacred constitutional amendment because um, if we don't have the right to exist on our private property, to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures, well, then let's just say that you can't really defend yourself. You really don't have any rights at that point because, um, if you get unreasonably searched and seized and you get, thrown in a cage, well, as my case really demonstrates to the world, the just the grave reality, right, of being pro se, just representing yourself, or just being undefended in court, period, right? I mean, my case showcased how little rights you actually have. But yeah, especially if you're pro se, right? I mean, if you're sitting in jail and you don't have anything to write with or any way to do any legal research, the tablet's down or it doesn't work or you never issued one or whatever, right? Or maybe you can't look at fucking screens all day because it gives you a migraine, and so you'd prefer to look at a book, right? And or get on the internet, right? Maybe do a little legal research your own way, right? With AI or you know, because that'd be the first thing I would do, right? Is I would make it to where legal AI is free and readily available, so people don't have to rely upon public defenders. They can defend themselves, right, with AI. And I suspect that AI will do a lot better job. Not to say that all public defenders suck and they're all, incompetent and evil, right? A lot of them are. A lot of lawyers are. But if they're overworked or there's no incentive, right? They're not getting paid enough, or they don't have enough time to devote to something, or they're only one person and they're, got 500 cases or something. There's a lot of scenarios where it just would be better for people if they had legal AI, right? Especially one that was good, right? That you could input all of the police report, fire report into the file, right? And or into the AI program, and then it can, at least analyze it, tell you what you're looking at, give you some options. This is probably what you should do, or this is, you know, not necessarily give you legal advice, but just like the courts do, right? If you're pro se, you represent yourself. I mean, you have a right to know what your options are. So yeah, I think that is something that we need to push, at least in the city of Wayne. I would say implement it in the city of Wayne and see if it catches on. But yeah, I don't like the system the way it is. I don't like how you can be, you know, falsely accused, fabricated a crime, right? The city of Wayne Police Department, Fire Department, prosecutor's office does, right? They fabricate a crime out of thin air, not even a possibility of probable cause, right, for a crime to have been committed. And then they decide to, charge you, give you an arraignment, right? And then, of course, the judge, Brita O'Leary, she somehow finds probable cause when, again, it was not even possible because they're enforcing a law that doesn't exist. So therefore, there's no criminal conduct, right? There's nothing to have violated, right? That would be criminal, right? We could argue a civil, right? Anything could be civil, right? I mean, if you have a bonfire and your neighbor doesn't like it and they can allege credibly and prove damages, well then sure, civil lawsuit, right? The person who's so bothered by my fire pit, if they're that bothered by it, well then they can file a lawsuit in federal court, U.S. District Court, $400, and I'll make their case, right? So I don't know. I mean, it just doesn't add up, right? And you're charged with this crime. You, you know, try to defend yourself against it, and you're not really allowed to. You're, not given discovery, right? And that's what the city of Wayne tried to do when they went into court. Oh well, his previous attorneys didn't trying to pass the blame along to them, right? Well, they didn't get the discovery. We offered it, they didn't give it, right? Well, no, they says it says right here in the exhibit, guys, they didn't offer complete discovery. We've never gotten a CAD or a radio dispatch or any sort of like internal communication whatsoever since May 9th. We've gotten zero, zilch, nada. We haven't gotten a singular thing that we've requested, essentially. I mean, we've gotten some partial video discovery months apart, and in piecemeal, right? But we haven't received any of the ordinance history that we requested. We requested all these things because they're all relevant, because our defense is not just a criminal defense. I mean, it is a criminal defense, of course. We have to defend ourselves against these criminal charges, but it's a civil defense first and foremost, right? I mean, our argument is very simple, right? The city didn't have a codified ordinance to enforce on May 9th, right? They knew they didn't. They tried to, well, you could say that the police officers there, they didn't know, but they looked it up, and they should have known after they looked it up, and they didn't, right? And then they went to their Sergeant Williams, and he ratified it and said, oh, whatever, charge him anyways, right? So, I mean, ultimately, he's responsible, or the most responsible, because he's at the scene, at least for the police department's, fuck ups, right? But the fire department, well, who's responsible for that? Well, that's Jeremy Schneider. Jeremy Schneider, the fire marshal, is ultimately mostly responsible. I mean, him, Sergeant Williams, because he was the officer in command. Jeremy Schneider, because he was the fire marshal, he gave the fire department the authorization, right? He gave them the approval, right, to break into my house. So those two are the most responsible. Then Carrie Miller, because she was the acting prosecutor, and despite the fact that the video evidence clearly didn't line up whatsoever with the police report narrative, not at all, right? Not like at all, right? All of the available video evidence clearly shows that whatever the city of Wayne claimed in the police and the fire reports are complete horseshit. So that already goes after their credibility substantially. But then you're like looking at all the discovery violations. You're like, well, you haven't handed over the ordinance history. You haven't handed over any reports, logs, right, internal communication, etc., which is all pertinent information, right? Like we have a right to the entire chain of events, right, that led to May 9th, right? So the call, the initial call, what was done, what was conducted, what was conveyed, right? Did this follow their policy, right? Because we of course we requested copies of their policies, right? Because we want to know what's their policy for searches and seizures of the home. We want to know, what is their official policy? Did they deviate from the official policy? There's so many questions that would be answered by that video discovery, by that paper discovery, by those CAD reports, those call logs, those dispatch audio, ordinance history, etc., etc. There's 10 different things we requested, and we got partially on one or two of them, right? And so I don't know, guys. I mean, it's awfully strange, is what I'm gonna say. The city of Wayne, for a simple fire pit issue, right? Something that should have been a civil issue and should have been, quite frankly, resolved months ago, right? Because I was more than willing. I asked and pleaded with the 29th District Court, with Brita O'Leary, in more than one motion. This is before I really knew how to write motions. I kind of, I still don't really know, but I know enough now. I know enough that it's getting things done. So I asked the court. I asked Brita O'Leary. I said, hey, let's have give me a preliminary injunction. Let's go to court and argue the facts, right? I mean, this isn't a criminal issue. This is at most a civil issue. And she decided that not only did she find probable cause for the interference charge, which is the most absurd fucking thing ever, the most absurd, corrupt, baseless, based not reality decision whatsoever. So she found probable cause that the city of Wayne was enforcing an ordinance, right? Because they lied and said, well, we're enforcing, she's interfering with it. Well, no, I wasn't interfering with nothing. I couldn't interfere because you put me in the back of the cop car before you even tried to put the fire out. So, you should have waited, dumbasses. But they put me in the back of the police car, charged me, arrested me, detained me, and said that I interfered before I could even have possibly interfered. And then, of course, interfering with what? Well, the enforcement of a law that doesn't exist. So Somehow Brita O'Leary found that, she ratified that, of course, and then, kicked herself off the case, right? How convenient. And then blindsided James Plakus, and made it seem like to James Plakus that I was interfering with official business and I didn't have any basis to be there. And, I mean, just absurd, just completely absurd, on so many different levels, right? And to have to go through what I went through, 90 some days incarceration, bond remands, bond remand, no evidentiary hearing, no facts of the case discussed, no nothing, no discovery, right? Discovery violations galore, Brady violations galore, um, just a total shit show. Just a total shit show ham sandwich, right? And I'm not going to hire another one of the city of Wayne's friends, right? Another one of their attorney friends to fuck me over and to help them. I'm not doing it. So I'm going to appeal this, right? All of this to the circuit court and, obviously file lawsuits with the federal court. And really try to get as much of the facts that we can, right? I mean, obviously we're missing the transcript. We're missing discovery. The transcript, that I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do with that. I guess we're going to have to file something with the circuit court. So at this point, because the district court, they've essentially closed this case out. They've gotten rid of all the financial obligations. They didn't vacate the sentence, though, which is, again, disappointing. But I didn't expect that to occur. I mean, you're only going to get so much out of these people, right? I mean, and so I'm thankful for what I got. I'm very thankful because I didn't think I was even going to get that, to be honest with you. But I mean, on to the next court, basically, at this point. We're graduating from the U.S. District Court. They've preserved the record, right, the discovery order, or the discovery motion, and anti-spoilage, whatever. So, on to the next one, right? And so, I'm not sure how we're supposed to appeal something without a transcript, but we'll explain that to the courts, right? That, my probation was terminated in the interest of justice. The fines and costs were terminated in the interest of justice. The prosecution actually agreed to it. Couldn't agree to it fast enough, right? They wanted to, we want to put a big red bow on this case. I bet you guys do. I bet the city of Wayne does, right? A big red bow. What, a big red bow for a box that's wrapped, that's wrapped, what's in the box, right? It's wrapped, it's wrapped with a big red bow, but what's actually in the box? A fucking handful of shit, right? A handful of shit, a shit sandwich on some moldy bread, right? So I don't know what there's to wrap up, City of Wayne. I know you'd love for this case to go away, the case that you guys created, right? You guys literally created this case. You guys wanted this case so bad. You wanted me so bad, right? Because like I said, you told the courts I was danger to the community, danger to society. Nobody wants me in Wayne, nobody likes me, and it's like weird. Well, I'm running for office, and I got my signatures and my petitions, and I don't know. It didn't take me long to get them either. I don't even have to work for them. I could literally just stand outside of City Hall and get 25 signatures. I could go walk around just Glenwood, just the neighborhood over here. I could have 20. I had 25 signatures in about 30 minutes. I'm thinking, man, well, I don't know. I'm such a menace to society. I can go walk up on people's properties, go walk up and knock on their door and have conversations with them, and most of them want to vote for me. Isn't that weird? Isn't that something strange? But I'm a menace to society, though, guys. Yeah, I'm crazy. Yeah, I know I'm fucking crazy. No, I'm not crazy. I just know too much. And I have too much nerve, right? I have the nerve to assert my rights. How dare me, right? How dare me assert my rights? So I don't know, guys. I This wasn't the introduction I wanted when I moved to the city of Wayne, guys. I just simply wanted to be respected. I simply wanted to have my property rights respected and cherished and upheld, and um, to have a functioning government, to have a functioning, governance, right? Someone who's supposed to be in charge, who's kind of supposed to be the adult in the room, and kind of lay down the law, so to speak, and keep things fair, keep things honest, keep the peace, right? And haven't gotten that in my zip code, and unfortunately, I got too much money in this property, and the city of Wayne doesn't want to give me a reasonable exit. So if they were to give me like a reasonable offer, maybe buy my house, pay for what they've done, then yeah, I mean, I would take a look at it, sincere look at it, but I don't see that happening. I don't see the stingy people in Wayne, Michigan ever agreeing to anything like that. So I can't beat them, so I got to join them, right? I can't. I mean, if I want to change the system, I got to be the system. I gotta infiltrate the system and try to change it from the inside out, right? This is my zip code. This is where I live. I've tried to change zip codes. The city of Wayne doesn't want me to do that either. So you're like, well, okay, you can't leave. I wanted to join Westland and get out of the jurisdiction of Wayne. They didn't want that. That offer's still available, by the way. And so if the city of Wayne just, like I said, I'm going to be here forever. They're going to be here forever. I'll probably outlive them. So I guess it would be in their interest to either buy me out, right? If they want me gone so bad, right? Which obviously they do. So either buy me out, give me a fair offer plus, pain and suffering and, all the emotional distress you've inflicted intentionally upon me. Reasonably pay me and my family for that, or buy the house and we'll leave. Or another way is to just let us get annexed into Westland. Just basically propose it to the city of Westland. Say, hey, we want you to take this property over, and the city of Wayne's on borrowed time, and we don't think we're going to be a city for much longer. Not, in the future, not in the distant future for sure. We're not going to be a city at this rate. So we might as well just start the process of annexing, what parts of Wayne that Westland would want, right? I guess, or Canton Township too, right? Canton Township could, but I don't think Canton Township. But yeah, I mean, the northwest side of Wayne is very, very much similarly looking to the Westland or the Canton neighborhoods that surround it. So I think it would be appropriate to consider that, city of Wayne. I think annexation of this property, this 2.78 acres, out of the city of Wayne. I mean, that would be, if you want to keep me out of your, city hall and your city council meetings, and you want to keep me away, right? Which we all know you do. Then consider that annexation, because I'll be glad to refile that, or we can sign a petition. I'm sure that at least half of the bootlickers in Wayne would probably be on board for it. I think most people would be on board for it, because I think most people want to, if you get this property annexed into a surrounding city, well then that any properties that are adjacent to that, newly annexed property, those would also be available for annexation. So I think a lot of people would be in favor for it. Obviously the city of Wayne wouldn't be, because it would basically erode their tax base. But I don't pay taxes here anyways, and the city tried to get me to pay taxes illegally, and they're failing, and I suspect they're going to fail in the tax tribunal case, just like they failed in the 29th district court case, just like they're failing in the federal district court case and circuit court cases, right? So given the fact that I'm never going to pay property taxes here, because the service-connected disabilities that I have, that I've incurred in my service, are permanent and total in nature. They're static. The VA calls them static. You can't regain your hearing. You can't, regain the vestibular function in your ear, your inner ear, all that. So, once that goes, it goes, and there it is. So, my point is I'm going to be, living in the city of Wayne quite literally forever, unless the city of Wayne agrees to annex it into Westland. Then I guess I'll be in Westland. But I'm still going to be in the same property, the same parcel. the same homestead. And unless the city of Wayne were to give me, a reasonable good faith offer, right? So there's really a couple ways they could do it. They could just annex me out, which would probably be cheaper. It'd probably, it's gonna be complicated, but they could do it. They could put it on the agenda, and that would be what would be in the best interest of the city of Wayne. So, and it would be in the best interest of my family. And then, of course, I'd prefer to be in Westland anyways. It's a more dynamic city. It's more consequential. But if the city of Wayne's not willing to do that, I'm really not looking to pursue it any further. I might look into it again in the future just to see if there's another way around it. But as of now, it doesn't appear that it's really a viable option, unless the city of Wayne and Westland, to be frank, are both on board with it, which I don't think so. I don't think they're gonna. I don't think it'll happen. But it might. Never say never, right? But I think probably the simpler option would be to just to buy me out, right? I mean, the house is worth, $625, $650 to $750. We're putting the pond in, of course, Zook Pond. That's going to increase the value probably about 5 to 15%. So that could be anywhere from 30 to 60 grand or more, 30 to 100 grand, really. It could increase the value. So, and then, of course, if the city of Wayne doesn't hurry up and act, well, then we're going to be building, the other house next door. The main house, this house we're currently living in, is going to be the guest house. That's what that was my plan when I bought the house to begin with. This is going to be the main house, or this is going to be the guest house, and then the acre-and-a-half lot next door that we're going to develop. We're going to turn that into the, I guess the master house, so to speak, right? The mansion. B. Jordan Depp, I get you. Glad you do. Please like, subscribe, help grow the channel, because like I said, we have some very interesting cases coming up. We have still several yet to file that aren't, as big as the May 9th, kind of the whole case, but that's kind of like the big lawsuit that we're working up towards. But that we have not, we just haven't, gotten it completed, right? There's so much there, and it's changing all the time, right? So once it's kind of static and, it's kind of like, closed, right? Which I think we kind of resolved it today, at least, like I said, with the 35th District Court. We've kind of, sounds like we've kind of exhausted our means there, but we still, haven't really gotten an answer as far as the transcript goes, how we're going to obtain that, right, to appeal, right? Because we need that to appeal. We need that to file our motions. We need that for everything, right? As well as that discovery that we haven't gotten. So I guess the next step, like I said, again, is circuit court. So we have to get familiar with their process and their procedures, and we'll see. So the fight continues, but pretty good day today. Not too shabby. And yeah, I mean, I woke up today and I saved over $1,000, right? The city couldn't waive and dismiss those fees fast enough, right? Because I guess in their mind they think it closes the case out officially, right? Which I don't know the validity to that, because I don't know. I think like if it's a discovery violation and it's like a serious violation, like, withholding discovery, not granting discovery, lying on the record saying you've given that discovery when you haven't, or just falsely claiming you don't have it when you do either have it or have the ability to get it. And if you don't have it, well, then you need to put it on the record. Hey, we don't have this, right? We don't have this. And I wish I would have got to discuss Jermaine Warwick's motion on June 10th. I think that would have been or no, was it June 10th or June 20th? I think it was June 20th. But yeah, because he asked for some additional discovery information that we've never gotten. Now, of course, that's his own motion, and he's not alleging that he didn't get it or whatever. I am, right? But the motion that I filed to compel discovery August 24th of 2025, that was granted. And so, again, the city, this idea that they can just like, well, his lawyer or whatever. No, I'm my own lawyer, and you have to work with me, guys. So we're going to try to reach out to the city of Wayne, either Michael Bosnick or Kerry Miller, whomever, if they'd like to have a discussion about this discovery, because I'd love to be able to sign an order stating that I received what I requested, but I got to receive it first. So I have no issue signing paperwork that I've received what I've requested, right? Or the city can just simply give an explanation as to, like, hey, we just don't have it, right? But we need some sort of an official kind of, inventory of this. So hopefully we can get that. Hopefully the city will compel that information. I mean, I can go down to Troy. I do live there quite frequently, so I go down to Troy and I can try to speak to them. We can record it. We can live stream it. It doesn't really matter. However they want to do it. I know they don't want to talk to me, right? Because so I don't know if they're not willing to talk to me, but the judge says they need to. I don't know. Someone's gonna have to grow up, it sounds like. Because like I said, I'm acting in good faith. I just want the truth. I just want what I've requested. I want what the judge has granted, what the courts have ordered, and that's it. That's all we want. You good? Cause yeah, not too shabs. One in court today. Pretty good day so far. About to go drop off some more clean firewood, right? At the city of Wayne. I make sure I put clean firewood. I got to put a clean firewood sign so the city of Wayne knows that it's not just firewood, but it's clean firewood. Motion to compel discovery. So the judge put in a preservation order. Some good things were said on the record. The city of Wayne kind of, again, is, kind of turtling up, kind of doing their Fifth Amendment, kind of, just kind of, they've lost the argument. They never really had an argument, but now that the focus of the hearings are on the proper things, right, they have just completely turtled up, shelled up completely. So it is it's wild shit, but yeah, basically we're making some headway. I think we've kind of graduated, so to speak, to the circuit court. Some of these issues are still not resolved, unfortunately, but we've preserved the record. We've extended it out. We've gotten the court costs removed entirely because the city desperately wants to put a red bow on this case. They just desperately want to put a red bow on it, right, on their fucking shit sandwich of a case, right, that I keep wanting to open that box up so we can continue to smell it, right? Because I want the courts to smell it, and I want America to smell it. I really want America to see just what a violators of your rights these people are, right? Because they violate the shit out of your rights, your constitutional rights, your property rights, your, discovery rights. You have a right to discovery. You have a right to know what you're being accused of, why you're being accused of it, all the context behind it. Any expulsionary evidence you're entitled to, Brady versus Maryland. So it's interesting. It's interesting stuff. And, those transcripts would allow us, as well as that discovery, will allow us to really, really rip open, just try to visualize this, right? The butthole, right? Just try to visualize this is a butthole. And we're really just trying to open up that butthole that the city of Wayne has left open and exposed, right? Because they, like I said, they started this from the beginning. They decided that they were going to schoolyard attack me, drive-by attack, shots fired and drive away and, leave me injured, dead to fend for myself. And, they thought that was appropriate. They thought that that was cool, that that was gonna, just kind of be the norm, right? They thought that that was just gonna be a-okay forever, and no one was ever gonna question it or get tired of it, or any of that. So they sounds like they overplayed their hand a little bit and didn't really think it through. And like I said, I mean, they should have just did the right thing, right? Which would have just been to not initiate a malicious prosecution against me from the beginning. I mean, that would have been, I mean, that's the only thing that they could have done, is just left me alone, let me burn firewood on my property that they approved the fire pit for, and, just leave me alone, let me live my life, and let me talk my shit, and, let me speak my mind. And if they disagree with what I'm saying, then they can put forward a better, more coherent argument, and if they can't, then I win, they lose, and that's just life, right? Sometimes you got to eat crow, right? That's the moral of this whole entire case. The city of Wayne just refused to eat crow. They refused to accept the fact that they didn't have a codified open burn policy, that they didn't have probable cause to charge me with a crime to begin with, that there was no crime even possibly committed, that it was absurd, right? That it was completely fabricated, orchestrated, the worst, really, prosecution, the sloppiest prosecution ever. And they got caught, and now they have to, now it's called restitution, right? Like, they tried to falsely frame that I violated some law and did something illegal, and all this nonsense, right? And now that they've been ousted, so to speak, now they want to act like, oh, I'm hallucinating, and oh, I don't know what I'm talking. How's that working out for you guys? How's that argument working out for you? Somebody having post-traumatic stress disorder from serving their country is not somebody hallucinating or somebody crazy or somebody off their rocker. No, it's called the cost of war, guys. The cost of war, the cost of training for war, right? Not even going to war, just training for war. People get injured all the time. All the time people get injured. Just from field training exercises. It's called FTX, field training exercise, right? And people lose their lives, get severely injured, traumatic brain injuries. And then just, the simple fact of the matter is the military is a very, very fucked up place. And I speak on the Army side of things. The Army's the biggest branch, and I'm going to argue, without ever being in the other branches, based off what I've heard and what I've been told and what I've seen, the Army's the most fucked up branch. The U.S. Army is the most fucked up military branch, and there's a lot of rape, there's a lot of sodomy, right? There's a lot of quid pro quo, right? There's a lot of fraternization, there's a lot of adultery, right? There's a lot of, sexual assault, sexual abuse, verbal abuse, etc., right? And so contrary to popular belief, you can develop post-traumatic stress disorder from a plethora of different life experiences. It doesn't require going to war. And oftentimes veterans of this country are traumatized before they even go to war. And then they're re-traumatized when they return from war. Okay? That's what the military is. The military is life or death. Trauma is what the military is. By design, it's trauma. And when you try to characterize somebody who served this country like myself, right? Someone who's serving this country like my wife. When you try to characterize our concerns about discovery, about, manifest injustice, right? Which is what the judge, in the interest of justice, right? That's another fancy way of saying it was a manifest injustice, right? And so it's already been acknowledged by this court that I have been the victim of an injustice by this prosecution, by this city. and then they continually use pejorative language to describe my concerns, to describe my good faith, heartfelt good faith concerns, right? And for them, valid concerns about, evidence, discovery, transfer, all sorts of stuff, right? My background being falsely inputted, right? An inaccurate register of actions, which I guess we'll file motions with the 29th District Court on those to get them on the official record. But yeah, I mean, the bottom line is they overextended their hand, they overplayed their hand, and they tried to persecute a disabled veteran, and they got caught and they got ousted, and now they're having to eat crow a little bit, and I'm going to make them continue to eat crow. Make the status quo, eat crow. That's the motto for the campaign, guys. I just found it. So my campaign slogan: make the status quo, eat crow. All right. So that's what I want to do. I want to make all of these criminals. That's what they are, in my opinion. I want to make all these criminals eat crow. Give them a taste of their own medicine, right? And I'm sorry that I've had to embarrass the careers, right, if you want to call them that, right, of Carolyn Miller and Michael Bosnick, and I'm sorry I've had to embarrass the city of Wayne. But like I said, I didn't start this, right? I was just existing in my backyard having a bonfire, and here come the police and fire department, up to no good. And we knew they were up to no good then, and we definitely know they were up to no good now, because they've admitted to just wanting to go on the property just to piss me off, right? So that's kind of pertinent, relevant information here. And yeah, I mean, what are we to do? What is a nigga to do, right? What is a nigga to do? Just let them get away with it? Let them just, I mean, imagine, right? How many people they've done this to in the past, right? Like they did it to Mark Blackwell. They got caught. They lost qualified immunity. Had to pay a settlement, right? And yeah, now we're back. We're back at Mark Blackwell round 2, but except a lot worse, and a lot messier, and man, a lot of questions, right? Because I mean, like I said, does a veteran who served this country, does any American have the right to defend themselves? And if so, do they have a right to, timely video discovery, right? I mean, the answer obviously is yes, but the city of Wayne's arguing no. You're not entitled to that information that, would help to exonerate you or to expel these charges against you, right? Exclude these charges, right? It would help to minimize or to negate or to eliminate these charges against you, but we're not going to give you that information, even though we're required by law to have it. But we're going to, like I said, the whole thing, right, is just, it screams corruption. And so, one of my first, things on the agenda when I get elected is to, please don't crash. Why would you think I'm going to crash, guys? They put these big screens on these TV, on these, it's called a head unit, right? They put this big old dash, right? No, never going to crash. This car's got a million sensors in it. Collision detection. I mean, there's so many different safety features built into this Toyota Camry. Not to mention everything's hands-free. And I'm a professional driver. I've been driving professionally for a number of years, with a complete 5-star feedback rating, over 1,100 rides, without a single 1,100 people, right? 1,100 rides, 100% perfect feedback. So same thing with Disabled Vet Source. So I mean, by all accounts, by all intents and purposes, I'm a very ethical and honest business person, and the last thing that you're ever going to call me is a liar or a scammer or someone that doesn't have their receipts. Because I have all my receipts. All the feedback from all the businesses I have proved that, you know, I do honest business. I give people honest, you know, what they pay for. I go above and beyond, and you know, I deserve to not be made into a criminal, right? Fabricated into a criminal, right? Out of thin air. So I deserve vindication, and I deserve restitution, and you know, in an interest of justice, right? Because, you know, obviously, I'm not the only person who's ever. I'm probably the only person who's ever went through. I'm probably the only person who's went through quite a case like this, specifically with these specific facts, right? But these patterns come up again and again in other cases, right? So I just, you know, in the interest of justice, I must continue this fight, and you know, I must devote my time, my money, and my resources, and my blood, sweat, and tears, my life, right, into this, because I think this case will answer a lot of our modern day questions when it comes to the law, when it comes to criminal and court procedures. But I think God tells me that I'm saving people's lives by pursuing this, and that I'm not going to be the only person in the future. So I haven't been the only person in the past, and I'm not going to be the only person in the future. And so, you know, it's imperative that we don't let evil win, and we, you know, again, continue to, you know, fight the good fight. I mean, of course, the city of Wayne at any point in time, you know, they can come to me with a good faith offer and an apology, and you know, something in good faith, and I'll, of course, always entertain it. You know, always entertain it. I've never once closed off communication with this. I'm also not going to be taken advantage of, and I'm not going to be pushed around, and I'm not going to allow another resident to be treated the way I was treated. What do you mean don't crash? When else are you going to get a chance to see a live crash and not be in the damn thing? Yeah, crashing in this car, no, not possible. And plus, you know, my attention is always on the road, right? If I was hitting lines, or if there's any indication that I was going to crash, you would hear, you know, beeping, and, you know, all these sensors going off. And no, these cars really drive themselves nowadays. But obviously, I'm still driving it. Having a screen up here. This is, you know, OEM, right? This is original OEM, so it's not in violation of anything. And again, professional driver here. You know, don't try to recreate what I do. Just because I do something, just because I represent myself in court and wipe my ass with the city of Wayne's prosecutor's face, just because, you know, I'm willing to step foot and, you know, go into the lion's den, right, doesn't mean you should, right? So again, I'm a professional, and I have a lot more resolve than the average person. So but yeah, you're not gonna be seeing a live crash, and you know, putting out that energy, man. It's just kind of like, why, you know? But Saginaw says, "What up, though?" Sag Nasty, what up, Sagtown? What's going on in Sagtown? Almost bought a property up there, a farmhouse up in Saginaw Township, right outside of Saginaw city limits, like right outside of Saginaw city limits. Kind of regret not buying it, but the porch, man, it had a fucking deck. It had a porch or a deck on it, I guess. And that motherfucker was scary looking, man. At least 10 or 20 grand it would have cost to fix it, and I didn't want to do it. But yeah, I almost moved up to Saganasty to get away from the city of Wayne. That's how bad it is down here. But I just couldn't do it, man. Couldn't close the deal. Thank God I didn't, because I probably would have left Wayne and stay off the east side, and you're good. Yeah, I mean that's where that farmhouse was by too. It was right outside the east side, like right when you get outside, it gets into cornfield territory. Um, but yeah, it was east side, real sketch, real sketch. But no, Sagtown's all right. Cheap, it's real cheap. It's cheap to live up there. Friendly people, cheap cost of living. You're by the water there. Um, I mean, yeah, it's called Saganasty, and you know, it's got a reputation, right? But I like Saginaw. I think Saginaw gets a bad rep, personally. I think Saginaw gets a bad rep. I think Flint gets a bad rep. I think a lot of places get a bad rep, but yeah, shout out to Sagtown. What up? What up, though? So, yeah. I try to go up to Fashion Square Mall every time I go up there. Check out my boy. Still got a barber shop up there. Still making it. I don't know how he's making it, but he's making it. But yeah, go up to Fashion Square Mall. Hang out. What's going on today? Four Eyes. What's going on today? Four Eyes. Banging your wife. With my glasses on. With my hat on too. I'm gonna take everything off, but I'm gonna leave my hat and my glasses on. No, I'm just joking. I'm just kidding. What am I got going on for today? Fuck, I don't know. Deliver some more firewood with the Toyota Camry, even though it's totally not recommended. But damn, sorry to hear that about your wife, buddy. My wife died 3 years ago. I apologize. My condolences. My condolences, sir. During COVID, what happened? Did the clot shot get her, or did she just die of natural causes? Right? Because I know the clot shot been giving certain folks a lot of turbo cancers and all sorts of shit. Right? People like young people dropping dead of heart attacks and myocarditis. So I hope that's not what happened. But, yeah, sorry to hear that, buddy. Sorry to hear that about your wife, man. It's, I've had several people die that I was close to, or practically die, right? I mean, they completely vanished from your life without a trace. So effectively the same thing, in some ways worse than dying, because at least when someone dies you get like some sort of closure, right? I mean, at least, like, not to say death's a good thing obviously, but at least you kind of like know what happened, right? Like you can typically see the body and all that. But yeah, I mean, someone just vanishing, like, basically, like, imagine somebody just like takes a trip to South America and just disappears, falls off the earth, right? And it's somebody you were close to, and you're like, damn, it's like kind of worse than death because you don't know what happened. But sorry to hear that, though, buddy. I'm very sorry to hear that. But yeah, just some firewood. Delivering some firewood today. Gonna get the rest of my money that I'm owed for that, and then probably just do some lift. Try to make some money for that, and then start filing my motions and appeals and trying to get my questions answered with the 29th District Court and the Circuit Court, Wayne Circuit Court, and possibly the Michigan Court of Appeals, and possibly the Michigan Supreme Court, and of course the U.S. Federal District Court. So we're going to be working on several more motions and complaints and all sorts of shit. So I don't know. I don't know. Just never thought I'd be in this situation, you know. Never envisioned it. Never had any interest in politics. I mean, I was in the student council when I was at Georgia Military College. When I was in the Corps of Cadets, I was invited, and I was on the student council there. But that's, I guess, my only experience in politics. I guess Georgia Military College and the U.S. Army. I was in a little bit of some politics. I was politicking back in those days a little bit, but
promotion, bro. I was just getting topped up with about a promotion.
Topped up. My boy just got topped up, slopped up.
Not topped up.
He was getting topped up at his workplace.
Listen.
But that's good though. But don't say too much. We're on a live stream right now. Wait until I gotta end the live stream. I love you from India. I love you too, you. What do they call Indians? What's a derogatory, pejorative word I can use for you? I don't know. Let me know. Give me some insults, right? Give me some slurs I can call you. My Indian nigga. Let me know. Let me know what I can call you. Because you can call me Cracker. You can call me Honky Vince, I guess. I mean, it doesn't offend me in any way, shape, or form. You can call me Nigga Vince. You can call me Nigga Vin, however you want to, whatever you want to call me. Just don't say that I lost in court today against Michael Bosnick at the 35th District Court against the city of Wayne and Michael Bosnick and Carolyn Miller. Don't say I lost, because I did not lose today. I did kick some ass, but I could have kicked better ass. There were some things I should have said, could have said. I guess I can file, just kind of like an extra, just a summary I can file with the court just to get it on the record of, hey, these are kind of my summarizing thoughts and some things I didn't get to touch on that I think the court needs to be made aware of. But yeah, I mean, I think we did enough. I think we did enough to get it going, guys. To get it going and keep it going. So got the fines, right? The city of Wayne was willing to waive over $1,000 in court fees and shit. So they really want this case to go away. They want to put a big red bow on it. Well, I want to put a big red bow on it too, but what's got to be in the box can't be a shit sandwich. It's got to be some just compensation, right? So, beautiful Palestinians in Wayne County. Yeah, some of them are, I suppose. Some of them are beautiful. Some of them are ugly as fuck, though. Let's be real here. Some Palestinian women. I'm not gonna speak on the men because I'm, heterosexual. I'm not homosexual, bisexual. So I'm not gonna touch on the men, but. I mean, my nigga Ak, he's Palestinian. He's all right looking. He's a barber. I ain't gonna compliment his looks. I don't think he's, a particularly good looking specimen per se. But he ain't an ugly motherfucker. He's a barber. He's clean cut. Keeps himself organized. So well dressed. So yeah, I mean, there's some beautiful motherfuckers, but some of the women are hot for sure. Some of the Palestinian women are hot, but some of them are just fucking uglier than a 2x4 with nails in it. So, there's a reason that some of them wear curtains. It's because they're ugly as fuck and nobody wants to see them. But there's also a reason why they wear those curtains, is because some of them are hot as fuck. And again, their husbands don't want anyone to see them. So,
man, no cap.
There's kind of both, right? It's just like any race or group of people. You're going to have the porkies, you're going to have the fatties, you're going to have the chubbies, and then you're going to have the baddies, right? Then you're going to have the average 7s, the plain Janes, the 6s, the 5s, But then you're going to have the baddies, the 8, 9s, and 10s, right? So there's quite a few of those Palestinians, right? Some hot women, but some also, some of the Palestinian men look kind of inbred. Look like they're kind of getting too close to their gene pool, so to speak. You gotta go outside of the gene pool to keep the genetics strong and fresh. And you marry your third cousin and shit, and some weird shit starts happening. And a couple generations of that, now you end up with Omar in Somalia, who looks like he fucked his cousin or his sister, because he probably did. But shout out to Omar in Somalia. I know that's not Palestinians, but yeah, the Somalians are probably the worst with the inbreeding. But the Palestinians, they do it too sometimes. So you'll get some weird motherfuckers every now and again, but good people by and large. The Palestinians, like I said, they just want to be left the fuck alone, and they don't want to be terrorized, right, by Zionists, right? So I get it. I get the Palestinian struggle, and I'm pro-Palestine in that regard. I think Palestine has more legitimacy than the state of Israel. I think the state of Israel isn't even a real country. It's completely fabricated, right? I don't think it's legitimate at all. But I think Palestine is legitimate. It's always been recognized. And I believe that the Palestinians have more... The Palestinians are more Semitic than the Jews are, right? So the small hats, not impressed with what they're promoting and condoning and ratifying, right? So yeah, I like the Palestinians in that one. I think the Palestinians are on more side of the right of history. Not to say that there isn't some valid complaints to lodge against Palestine and their way of life and all that, but if I'm comparing Palestine to Israel, I'm siding with Palestine. Fuck the Zionists and fuck the small hats, as far as I'm concerned at this point. 109 countries, is that what it is? Around 109 countries they were kicked out of, and you're not allowed to bring that up or point that out or ask, well, why is that? Why would so many other countries not want the Zionist small hats to be amongst them? And you start noticing the same thing, right? Same patterns, just like the city of Wayne, same patterns. You're not allowed to talk about it, you're not allowed to acknowledge it, you're not allowed to even see it. And if you do, you're the problem, right? So yeah, I don't know, that's my thoughts on that. Do I like Whitmer? Fuck no. Witless Whitmer? No, I mean, as far as governor goes, I'll probably be voting for one of two people. Definitely can't support Benson. That's horrible. Jocelyn Benson, that's a joke. That's worse than Witless Whitmer. But John James, never really been too impressed with. He's a veteran, okay. He's conservative, so he says. I would obviously, if those were my only two choices, that's who I'm voting for. Yeah, definitely free Palestine without a doubt. But Mike Duggan is likely to win this race as an independent, which will be kind of a historical event. And so if it boils down to those three, Benson, James, and Duggan, I'm gonna vote for my nigga Mike Duggan, just because fuck it, why not? I want to see an independent win. I don't think Mike Duggan is particularly I don't think he's gonna particularly be much different. Yeah, we're gonna the where?
It's very close to that.
Yeah, possibly, maybe DQ, QD, maybe. Let me see how I'm feeling. So, anyways, I forgot my train of thought. This nigga just fucked me up. But yeah, basically, I'm siding with Palestine on that. Whitmer, not a big fan of, but yeah, I'll probably vote for the nigga Mike Duggan, because I would like to see a viable third party candidate actually win, because that's really what our political system needs, right? We got to get out of this two-party shit, right? This uniparty bullshit, and we got to get into ranked choice voting would be better. But definitely three parties. We need at least three parties, maybe four, to keep things honest. But I think three will, will result in some positive consequences, right? If an independent were to win the governorship, I think that would that definitely not be a bad thing. I think it's long overdue. So out of those three, I'll be voting for Mike Duggan. I'll be promoting Mike Duggan. I know he's not perfect. I know he's really probably most likely a shill, just like the rest of them. But at least he's an independent shill. Whereas, we've seen the Democrat offering, can't go there. I would take John James over Benson, but not much over it, right? But John James is a better candidate than Benson, but I don't think John James is the answer. And I don't think Republican or Democrat at this point is the answer. And so we're going Mike Duggan. Now, the spoiler candidate that I would vote for if he's on the ballot, if it's viable, is Anthony Hudson. So if Anthony Hudson is on the ballot and it's a viable option, and it comes down to him and Duggan and James, or however it boils down, I'd vote for Anthony Hudson. But if he's got no chance of winning, I'd rather use my vote to elect Mike Duggan, because I think Mike Duggan, at this point, has the greatest likelihood of winning. And of course, I want to side with the winners. Hudson dropped out. Really, he did. I had not heard that. Matter of fact, I just saw videos of him the other day, like literally a day or two ago. And I didn't get that impression that he had dropped out. So I'd have to look into that. But assuming if he did, then obviously I'm not going to vote for him. But it'd be Mike Duggan. Mike Duggan would be the one who I would end up voting for. Out of the options right now, I think Mike Duggan is the lesser of the three evils. And is Detroit booming and popping and really back to what it used to be when it was owned by white people? No, definitely not. But Mike Duggan made some improvements to Detroit, which no one was able to do in seemingly like 60 fucking years. So, there is that, Detroit didn't get worse under Duggan, let me put it that way. So, that's got to count for something. But, do I like Mamdani? No, absolutely not. But I probably like him more than I like Chomo Como, right? Andrew Como, or his buddy or whatever, his brother. I probably prefer him over the Como. Chomo Como, but no, I don't particularly care for him. The results so far in New York are not particularly good. Anthony Hudson switched to 8th District. What state representative he's going for, or what is he? What is Hudson trying to do? I don't know. I watched the video. I think it was fucking yesterday, dude. I believe. I don't know. I don't know if that's accurate or not. But I'll look into it. But, I'm not. How do I say? I'm not calling you a liar, but I gotta verify it because I haven't heard that. But yeah, that was basically who I was gonna vote for. Was Hudson, if it was viable, if it was possible. If not, I was just gonna vote for probably Duggan, my nigga Mike Duggan. So I don't know, we'll see. Hudson going to House of Representative. Yeah, that's good. I think he'll be more useful House of Representative. I was thinking about that myself, actually. Trying to do that, but I want to get my local. I want to get I want to get in locally, and then once I get in locally as council or mayor of the city of Wayne, then I'll go beyond that to state rep. That's kind of my next step. And I think Hudson would be better utilized in the House of Representatives for sure. I like Hudson, but yeah, he's not there yet. I like that. That sounds like a better move for him. And
something he can definitely win, right? Because if you don't have any chance of winning, why run? Why waste the time and the effort when you can, run for an office where you actually can win? So, yeah, that's good though. But yeah, I gotta get going. Socialism is never the answer. A little bit of socialism, right? We don't want to be completely capitalistic because we're not, anyways. So, we already have some socialism, which again isn't totally. Like the military is a socialism kind of experiment, socialist experiment. Some parts of the military is socialist, and not necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, we definitely don't want, late stage capitalism and socialism conjoined, because then you just get late stage socialism and late stage capitalism, which is really a bad combination of the two. So yeah, we need some fucking freedom back in the state of Michigan though. We need property rights restored, we need freedom to be restored, and freedom needs to ring again. And the government needs to fear people when they violate your rights and they maliciously prosecute you. They need to have legitimate fear. Are you vaccinated? Unfortunately, I had one Moderna. The VA injected me with that poison. Unfortunately, yes. My wife had 2, I think, Pfizer's or Moderna. My children are unvaccinated. But yes, unfortunately, I was administered the clot shot. And I'll probably likely die decades before I'm, supposed to, naturally. So yeah, unfortunately, that's something I got to live with, guys. That every day that, clot shot poison is, in my blood, and it could, replicate my DNA and cause some problems, let's say. So I'm very aware of it, and it's probably my biggest regret in life was not fighting harder to resist the clot shot that the Long Beach VA administered to me. So when I was in Long Beach, California, they administered it and immediately had side effects. And I can't say that I've developed any sort of, at least that I know of, right, any health problems from it, outside of the immediate, the first couple days, I had kind of like a flu and shit. But outside of that, on paper, I guess, as of now, they haven't discovered anything. But yeah, it's probably my biggest fear. Why would you ever go to California? Good question. That's a very valid question. That I still have to do some soul searching on to answer. Truthfully, I really don't have a good answer. Why the hell would I go to California? It's a good answer. It's a good answer. Good question, rather. I don't have a good answer to that. Currently, I haven't really thought too much of it until you asked me. So, but yeah, it is my biggest regret in life. And yes, I hope it does not. Because fuck Qdoba. This nigga wants to go to Qdoba. What do you guys think? Qdoba or Dairy Queen? What do you got? What do you? Real food. Calories are calories, big dog. Cows are cows. But this nigga wants to go to Qdoba, so I'm gonna take this nigga to Qdoba. I got a free Subway sandwich that I'm gonna order those and pick them up on the way. I'll let this nigga get his to Qdoba. You chill out. You simmer down there, Cadillac pimpin'. Beeping at me and shit, nigga. Qdoba is knockoff Chipotle. Yeah, it is. We're not denying that. We're not gonna say it's not. It is absolutely a knockoff of Chipotle.
Yeah, but the thing about Chipotle is that they more dirty. So like, is it really a knockoff if they cleaner?
It's all franchise dependent. You work at one franchise, you worked at one franchise. I'll say Qdoba is a bit less stingy with their portions, generally speaking. Obviously, it depends on where you go, who's making
definitely
it.
Less stingy. They give you stack bowls. Qdoba, they'll give you a 1 spoon and be like, there you go. There you go.
Chipotle.
There you go. I used to work there, so I mean, that's what they do.
All the food dyes and hormones in the food. I mean, yeah, it depends, where you're eating at, like Chipotle, Qdoba. Probably not going to have too many dyes in the food. Hormones, possibly with the meat, but possibly not. Yeah, I mean, if you're eating like McDonald's and shit, though, I mean, fuck, you're just asking to die, basically.
Pretty much.
At that point, it's just kind of gambling with your life. Burger King kind of got their shit together with their new Whopper. Wendy's is completely taking a nosedive. Wendy's restaurant probably won't be around in 10 years at the rate they're going.
Honestly, I don't know. Wendy's has some of the best burgers.
Wendy's used to be legit, but they've really fallen off completely. Burger King's upping their game up. I think Burger King's really becoming kind of the.
I mean, Checkers. I ain't gonna lie. Checkers always gonna have some good burgers, man. Checkers, man.
Yeah, but Cardi B works at Checkers, and we have to. What was the last name?
Make it right.
Oh yeah. I don't remember. But yeah, Cardi B, Checkers rallies. That's our bitch, Carly B. Or no, Glorilla. Because you're not allowed to call a black person a gorilla because that's racist, but they're allowed to call themselves Glorilla. Because I don't know. The hypocrisy, it's too much to keep up with. But Glorilla, that's her name, not me, Santa. That's what the fuck the bitch's name actually is. She's got some sort of like $4 deal or something at rallies. I might go check it out one of these days. I might fuck with it, Glorilla is how I say, it's pretty good, pretty good gangster rapper. I'll say, not just like for a woman. I'm not even gonna call her like for a woman. She's probably the best female rapper.
Nicki.
No, Nicki doesn't have the bars like she does though. Like Glorilla's, she's got the flow, bro. Glorilla's got flow, bro. She snaps, bro. Right. Glorilla sounds like a nigga rapping, bro. That sound like some nigga rapping. Nicki Minaj sound like.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't think you know where Nicki is.
No, Nicki.
Man, they had a battle and guess who won?
Nicki.
Come on,
Nicki
nah.
ain't got no.
Come on, nah.
Nicki ain't got a real ass. Nicki got a fake ass.
Not the Cardi.
She got a fake ass. Fuck
fake.
Cardi.
They both got BB.
Fuck Cardi.
Same with Glow.
Okay, she's wild for that.
She along with
Who's
them,
wild
with
for what? Wayne County seems corrupt as fuck. Checking out your videos on your channel. Yeah, City of Wayne corrupt is most corrupt, right? Now, the City of Wayne, Michigan, which is in the central western part of Wayne County, that's the worst, right? That's the most corrupt, in my opinion, in all of Metro Detroit. Metro Detroit, Wayne County being the most corrupt county in Michigan, so by extension, the City of Wayne is probably the most corrupt city in the state of Michigan. Because I'd never heard of someone going to jail for interfering with a law that doesn't exist, right? Interfering with the enforcement. You're on someone's private property enforcing a law that doesn't exist without a warrant, without exigency, and then charging that person with interference for simply not like physically obstructing anybody, not touching anybody, not getting in anybody's way, just questioning, just asking questions, asking for a warrant. And God damn, bro, you got cancer? Why? No, I had a hair transplant. I had no hair up here. They got to touch it up. There's a couple spots that kind of, doesn't grow in as well. But no, there's like a couple spots that they're going to touch up when I go back to Columbia. And then they're going to do the top part. But no, I appreciate you asking me if I got cancer, Kurt. I do not. That I know of, right? I don't believe I have any turbo cancer from the clot shot, right? From the Pfizer clot shot. But yeah, City of Wayne prosecuted me for interfering with the enforcement of a law that doesn't exist on my own private property. Before I was charged with interference before I could even possibly interfere. So before the city actually tried to search and seize the fire pit, they arrested me and detained me and charged me with interference. And the reason they did so was because in the police report, it says that the fire department was concerned for their safety because I was roaming around in the yard and they were scared of what I might do, right? So apparently roaming around in your own yard is criminalized. That's criminal somehow. And that's somehow interference. So again, I don't know how that works mentally, but it doesn't, right? It doesn't work legally either. But in the city of Wayne, it did. The city of Wayne, on the June 3rd arraignment, falsely, yeah, were they retaliating against you for your? Oh yeah, absolutely. That's what it was all about. My political stance, Zook Pond, go look it up. We put in the first body of water ever in the city of Wayne, Michigan. We have all the permits, everything paid for. Construction is starting either in May or June. We're shooting for May 9th, right? That's the day we're shooting for. A year to the day of the violation, the first violation, or well, not really the first, but one of many violations. And so yeah, I announced Zook Pond to the city council back in December of 2024, and they started fucking with me in January and February, and then by the time April came around, it was like a full-blown war that they had waged against me, because obviously they don't want Zook Pond to exist because it's a political win for me, and it's something that I can tangibly show people and say, hey, I did that without their consent, their approval, or their help. As a matter of fact, I did that when they were obstructing the entirety of the project from day one. And when they couldn't obstruct no more, well, they decided that, they were going to fuck with me. Because I kept saying stuff politically that was inconvenient to them. And I had a Facebook account, I had a couple thousand followers, and was getting 20, 30,000 views per video. And yeah, they were getting a little concerned, right? We'll say. So they had to shut me down, and that was how they did it. Well, they falsely flagged my Facebook to get it. They said I was impersonating a public official because I was running for mayor as a write-in, because I couldn't be on the official ballot because I hadn't lived in the city of Wayne long enough. Yeah, I mean, they really pulled out all the stops against me, really tried to, ruin my life essentially over the fire pit. But the fire pit was just merely a pretext. The whole issue that the city of Wayne had with me was my political speech, Zook Pond, which was just an extension. That was just kind of the ultimate form of my political speech. And so, they just didn't want that, right? So it's called vindictive prosecution too. It's malicious and vindictive prosecution, which is usually really hard to prove one or the other. It's almost impossible to be able to prove both, as well as selective enforcement, retaliatory enforcement. But yeah, essentially, in layman's terms, the city of Wayne retaliated against me for Zook Pond, for my political speech, my political activism, my city council meeting, my 180 seconds they would give me where I would discuss certain things and, say things that were inconvenient, talk about lawsuits, talk about, all the lawsuits that I filed against them, etc. So I told them I was going to file a lawsuit, and I did, and I have, and I'm continuing to file more lawsuits because, that's what they did to me from May 9th onward, is they, falsely charged me under a law that doesn't exist. They charged me with something that I couldn't even possibly have done, literally impossible. All the video evidence contradicts 100% their police report, their fire report, and then they withheld video discovery, they withheld CAD reports, over 7 or 8 pieces of discovery, of different discovery material that the court granted. They have yet to hand over. So we actually got a preservation order finally, in the court. So the city. But yeah, now they don't want their money because they want to close the case out. They want to try to put a big red bow on it and sweep it under the rug. Yeah, they overplayed their hand. They got too greedy. They got too cocky. They got too confident. And, that's what happens, right? But when the facts are ultimately not on your side, you're kind of on borrowed time anyways, because once the facts that are not on your side get brought to light, well, then there goes your case anyways. So you should have known. You had, like I said, I gave them every opportunity. I gave the city of Wayne every opportunity possible to, kind of drop this and go away and, do the right thing. And it was just too much for them, It was just like I said, they could not dare take orders from a junior college educated disabled veteran with a traumatic brain injury. They just simply could not humble themselves enough to take advice from a peasant like me, from a plebe, right? Because I'm just the plebe of Wayne, right? I'm just a plebe, right? I'm treated like a fucking plebe. And
unfortunately, like I said, that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes, guys. And sometimes, you know, you fuck around and you find out. And then at that point, it's in God's hands, right? And the judge's hands. So I appreciate your guys' time, your support. Where did you get the TBI? Iraq? No, actually, I got it stateside. No, we ain't supposed to make shit. We ain't making no left, dog. We're going down this way. So, yeah, I do appreciate your guys' humble support. Humbly, I thank you. Thank you for liking the video. Please subscribe. Please like it. Like the city of Wayne likes to maliciously prosecute disabled veterans. And keep up the good fight, guys. If you could, please consider checking out Disabled Vet Source. We are adding some more listings, about 20 or so new listings on that. And then, of course, we have a new store that we've created that we are going to be putting hundreds of listings on, called Georgia Military College. I believe is what it's called. Yes, it's called Georgia Military College. That's the store name. And then we have another store, Veterans Pond Project. So we're gonna have 2 more eBay stores coming because we just have so much. You know, we've been so successful growing our business and, you know, obtaining inventory that, you know, we have so much more inventory than we even know what to do with at this point. And so we have to create multiple storefronts just to try to like catch up with everything. So you know, be on the lookout for that. I will update the channel, right, with the links for that. But Disabled Vet Source, that's still the main channel or the main store on eBay. But we're going to be adding a couple more, just because we have so much shit, and we've had such overwhelming support from you guys with your purchases and your donations that, you know, we're growing. You know, we're growers. We're not showers over here, and we're expanding our length here, guys. Right? We're adding some inches on to the dong of liberty, right? So we're going elbow deep in the ass, and we're fighting the good fight till the bitter end. And it's the only thing you can do, right? It's the only thing you can do. But yeah, I didn't get TBI from Iraq. I got the TBI at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. One of them I got at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and then the other one I got at Fort Gordon, Georgia. Well, actually, I've had, Fort Sam Houston as well. So I've had 3 or 4 traumatic brain injuries. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty sad when I can remember stuff that these people can't, and you know, I consume copious amounts of dope, right? And I still have a better memory than these people who are supposed to know the law. That's quite literally their job, and it's not mine, but I know the law somehow better than they do, and I understand the facts and remember things better than they do somehow, but this is all they think about. That's what they've said on the record. That's what Bosnick and Miller said. Oh, this is all we think about this case, and you know, they have nightmares over this case, but yeah, they don't. I don't know. It's just the whole thing. It's a big, giant, walking contradiction, and we should have never gotten this far. Like I said, the city of Wayne should have knew better. They should have known better. Somebody should have been the adult in the room and said, "Hey, wait a minute. We don't have anything legally to enforce here, so therefore you can't interfere with something that doesn't exist. You can't enforce something that doesn't exist, and you can't interfere with the enforcement of nothing. So, you know, then that means you can't have a bond because that's directly tied to a fucking bullshit ass, you know, completely fabricated, constitutionally infirm encounter. So, yeah, I mean, it just should have been an adult in the room, and somebody should have did the right thing, but." They bullied the wrong veteran. That's what they did. You know, so they threatened me with a good time, and they forgot how kinky of a motherfucker I really am. You know, they threatened me like they thought they were gonna out kink me or something, and I'm like, dude, I'm the founder of Bang Bros. You know, I'm the fucking OG of Bang Bros. I am Bang Bros. Like, who do you think you're gonna threaten with a good time here? You think you're gonna outfuck me? You think you're gonna fuck on me? And you're gonna, you know, I'm Mr. Chow from The Hangover. You're not gonna fuck on me. You know, like, who do you think you're fucking on? You think you're fucking on me? No, I'm gonna fuck on you. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you what you're fucking on. You know,
You can't handle this pressure. You can't handle this smoke. Who the fuck you think you are? So I tried telling him. I gave him so many warning shots. I tried to tell him, like, hey, you guys are in the wrong here. Just go away. Just quit. And we'll just, like I said, we'll pretend this never happened. Nope. So now they got a real problem on their hands. They got fucking discovery violations, circuit court, district court, probably court of appeals. Oh, they got all sorts of shit coming up. But they, like I said, they instigated the entire thing. They instigated the entire thing because on May 9th, 2025, they decided they wanted to break into a disabled veteran's home to enforce a law that didn't exist because he was building a pond in his backyard and naming it after the guy that the city of Wayne murdered and covered up on June 18th of 2024. John Zook Jr. was his name, and I want to make sure that the city of Wayne never, ever, ever, ever forgets his fucking name. And that's why they maliciously and vindictively prosecuted me. This is how we know each other. So wouldn't have it any other way. I'll make sure that those days, those months set in jail, incarcerated, are not for nothing. And what goes around comes around, everybody. And don't ever underestimate a book by its cover. And sometimes it's better just to eat crow than it is to lose the status quo. So you could have kept your status quo, Wayne, and just ate crow and, you know, settled it and paid a little bit of money and said you're sorry, and that could have been the end of it, guys, you know. Instead you wanted to fuck around. Well, you found out. Sorry about that, guys. I do apologize. You know, I really I wish I could have teleported to the future to show you what was going to be the result of your fuckery, and you could have retroactively fixed it and corrected it, but no, too much for you. You just couldn't believe me. You thought I was, you know, keep calling me crazy. Keep telling the court that I'm crazy. I don't know what I'm talking about. You know, keep on keeping on, because that seems like it's not working out too well for you, but it's working out great for me. So keep doing what you're doing, City of Wayne. Don't correct your mistakes and make things right, and continue to double down on your chicanery. And we'll see where it gets you. I know where it's gotten me. So far, as of now, I kind of like where this shit's starting to head. So we'll stay tuned, guys. Take care, stay safe, and don't cook bacon naked, guys, because you will get burnt.